Let's talk about how we're working that charity muscle. All right. That was cringe, as the kids say. Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary with the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. Okay, let's talk about Lent. Last week we talked about the spiritual dynamic, like what we're doing, rending the heavens so that the Lord can speak more deeply the truth of who He is and who we are into our lives. This week we're going to talk a little bit more like kind of naturally about maybe the mechanics or what's happening, specifically talking about working the muscle of the will and in the way in which our classic Lenten practices work that muscle, right? And I want to start using the muscle analogy because the will really has a lot of dynamics that are like a physical muscle. And so most lifts or workouts, from my understanding, right, I'm not an expert, like there's a positive and a negative, right? So like the positive is like when you're lifting up, the negative resisting down on a push-up. Like the positive you're pushing out, the negative you're coming down, right? A lot of the exercises have this kind of dynamic, right? And I would say like our will also has something like that. Like there's a positive or a negative, or what I'm going to call like the yes muscle and the no muscle. Like the yes muscle is our capacity and tendency to say yes to something, to respond to something. The no muscle is our capacity, the will's capacity to resist. And for our will to be fully formed and mature, we want to have both of these very strong. Like you don't want to be that guy who's like all upper body, no legs, right? Come on, we got to hit legs day. And so here's the thing. Here's like what I refer to as having a strong yes muscle, or the application of this yes muscle. The yes muscle, it's going to be someone who's like we're generous. We say yes easily. We respond to the suffering of another easily. We can be kind of go with the flow, flexible. Probably on another level, you're gonna be fun. But like doing something, right? Responding in a way, like responding to the suffering of another, offering mercy, it can come easily. But if this isn't tempered with a healthy like no muscle or resistance capacity, what this can also lead to is sins against temperance, against gluttony, chastity, maybe overcommitting, maybe imprudence. We say yes, but also we're more likely to say yes to temptation. We're more likely to say yes to impulses as they come or go. And so some of the sins of the flesh might be where we get in trouble. Again, someone with a strong yes muscle, but a weak no muscle. Like you're probably going to need some help and some support from others around you. Otherwise, like you just can't be totally self-reliant, or you're not going to stay disciplined to what you commit. If this kind of goes on to a bit of a lifestyle, this is the type of person who might also struggle kind of, if you will, like giving the hard truth. And there might be a tendency or a temptation in the name of mercy and in the name of compassion to actually sacrifice the truth, okay? And so we'll talk about how we're going to work this muscle in Lent. But now I want to talk about like the no capacity, or the no muscle, the resistance capacity of the will. And somebody who has one of these strong is going to be like, they're really good at being focused. They're really good at being disciplined. They're really good about like waking up in the morning without hitting the snooze button. These are the type of people who might be like endurance athletes. I can just run and run and run, and my body's going to be like, say, stop. And we'll say like, no. Right? Or I can say focus. I can be do very well in school on an academic bent, because it's like all these other temptations, when take a break, procrastinate, all that, like I'm just very good at saying no to those things. And so this is the type of person who's going to be really faithful to principles. They can probably suffer and endure pain well. They can set a goal and they can do it, and they won't need a lot of outside support or help. If this no muscle, right, isn't properly complemented, if you will, with like the yes muscle or the other capacity, some of what can happen is a lack of empathy or a lack of compassion for others. They're going to be faithful to the truth, but when they maybe talk about the truth or try and bring other people to the truth, like it might be in a way which is harsh. It'll be easy to turn a blind eye, blind ear to the poor. There might be a struggle with mercy, right? And so get this type of person who has a really strong no capacity, but it's not healthily integrated. This is the type of person who's like, yeah, here's the truth, and I'm going to hold on to the truth, and I'm going to preach the truth, and you just got to take it as it is, right? And so there can be an application or holding on or a communication of the truth, which doesn't have a healthy integration of compassion or empathy or concern from the other, right? And we want to have all of this wholly integrated as Christ himself was wholly integrated, right? Like Jesus responded to the cry of the poor. Jesus had compassion. Jesus had mercy. But Jesus also never watered down the truth. And Jesus also was able to resist temptation. Jesus also was able to suffer well. And so as we're trying to live in all of our humanity, mind, body, and soul, like Christ, like we want to work both of these, okay? And my proposal is this, is that Lent and our Lenten practices, right, have fasting. And what does fasting do? Like, fasting works this no muscle. Fasting gives us the ability of our will to practice resistance, to practice temperance, to practice saying no, and to freely suffering for good things, right? Almsgiving is an invitation to practice the yes muscle, to be moved by the needs of the poor, to give generously, to do works of service, right? And for some of us, the fasting might be easier. For some of us, the almsgiving, the works of mercy might be easier. But we want to be wholly integrated. And so our Lenten practices, we want to work both. And under this all is the invitation to prayer. And going back to the initial kind of image or analogy of working out, right? Like if you're doing all this sort of workout, but you're not getting good nutrition, you're probably going to end up actually doing more harm than good. And similarly, the nutrition for the soul, for the body, for the will, like for the spiritual life, for following of Jesus and being made in his image and likeness, it's prayer, all right? So under all of this, our foundation and the priority is always prayer. So prayer, fasting, work that no muscle, almsgiving, work that yes muscle, so that we can be fully integrated men and women, disciples, with the mind, the heart, the healthiness, the integration of the will that Jesus himself had. So hopefully this helped make sense of some of what we're doing on our Lenten practices, and praying for you all. Ask for your prayers that we may be faithful to the invitation to go deeper this Lent. All right, God bless you all.